Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima. Welcome back to the Biweekly Playdate. I got the games back. It was really bloody close though. They came in on Monday, so yeah, my time situation hasn't been great. With that said, let's stop wasting your time and get into this fortnight's worth of games. Executive Golf DX is a pain in the ass. I'll just say it right off the bat. It's a pain in the ass. It is a two-dimensional golf game. It's pretty simple in its mechanics. You can probably understand, aim the angle with the D-pad, use the A button to do a sort of hit once for power, then hit it again for the balance between going left and right, although it doesn't have that much of a difference in this game. And you have to try and navigate your way through this office, which is full of all of this different like office equipment. You got chairs, you got arcade machines, you got printers, tables, and all of those sorts of things. And it's really bloody hard. Like, annoyingly so. Especially since it's kind of hard to determine exactly how much power you're putting into a shot. And on top of that, all of these different office objects are all, like, really accurately rendered. So you can bounce off of the top of a couch and then bounce off of the armrest. You can roll underneath the lip of a table and then just bounce up into the top of it whenever you're trying to take another shot. Basically, as you see it is how it's rendered in terms of both the graphics and the physics. And as a result, it can result in a lot of situations where you basically feel like you're getting nowhere because of the way you bounce off all the objects. The amount of times that I bounced off an object only to bounce off the lip of another object and then end up exactly where I was on the previous shot was ridiculously high for the 3 or 4 holes that I could manage to stand for this one. You do get special shots. So you'll notice that in just like hovering in the middle of the air are the special shots, and you can only store 3 of them at a time, and they all do different things. Unfortunately, a lot of them feel like they're completely useless. Like the super bounce shot, which bounces you off everything, or the low gravity shot, which will just send you flying all over the place, or, I mean, the sticky shot isn't actually that bad. But then you've also got the rewind shot, which is, when you do your shot, it'll show you where you land, and then it'll rewind time. But unless you're really good at timing, you're not going to hit the exact same power and angle result again. This might be exacerbated a tiny bit by the fact that I'm recording this through the Playdate mirror, and that does actually take some of the Playdate CPU power, therefore potentially screwing up some timings, but yeah, it's not great, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. As a result, I found the game to be more frustrating than fun. And after 3 holes, I was done with it. So, yeah, there you go. I'll let you watch the rest of this hole. Our second game is Questy Chess, and honestly I was kind of expecting something different from this one, a la Demon Quest 85. However, in this case it's not really for the better. This is a puzzle game, where you use multiple different kinds of chess pieces, starting with the pawn but unlocking more as you go along, in order to get through these levels, take out enemy pieces to earn XP to level up. And in order to move on to different worlds, you need to beat different bosses. But they're basically just regular pieces like kings, but they have multiple bits of health, so you have to hit them multiple times. And I'll be honest with you, this game just kind of becomes a chore. So you've got these levels that you need to go through, right? And they've got enemy pieces. But once you take out the enemy pieces, they actually stay dead, which ends up being a really weird thing for this sort of game, but I'll get to why in a minute. You can also lose your chess pieces. So if you end up getting stuck in a level to the point where you can't do any more moves, or if you accidentally spawn into a level that you don't know needs a specific piece to start with in order to not be stuck right off the bat, or if you just end up dying because you lose all your health, you'll lose the chess piece that you've got equipped and you have to go back and get it. So it ends up being a lot of busy work, right? But the thing is, you end up, like, it's kind of hard to explain. You end up feeling like it's busy work because with the enemies dead in the levels when you go back to it, it ends up not being a problem needing to go back and get these chess pieces. So it just ends up being a bit of busy work. And even then, when you're trying to, like, go back through levels and get 100% completion on them, again, all the enemies are dead, so it's all about just getting all of the item chests and then getting to the end in a specific amount of moves, which you can't do until you unlock certain pieces anyway. So again, it just ends up feeling like more busy work. And on top of that, a lot of these puzzles just aren't really interesting. All of them just make inherent sense as soon as you have the pieces available to you. They don't let you look ahead on the board, which just ends up feeling like a pain in the neck. And on top of that, it just ends up being really annoying. Needing to go back and get your pieces, needing to heal your health up with all of these items that you can pick up from these things, only to have enemies that you don't really need to worry about killing anyway. And I just end up being bored by it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. There's no twists, it's all quite predictable. And when you have to go through these levels again in order to, like, pick up pieces because you failed at a puzzle or whatnot, it feels like busy work. And the game gives you the impression that it might be a lot more open than it actually looks, but then you go through and realize, oh, I actually need these pieces in order to actually get through these levels. So you just instantly die and end up needing to go back and get a piece anyway. And it's just like, why? Why bother? Why not just be linear about it? Like, live up to it, son. I don't understand half the choices they make. Like, why force me to go back and get the pieces if it's going to be no challenge? Why make it so that you need to do 100% completion on a level when it's so easy? Why make it so that there's a bloody crank control where it feels entirely pointless? There are these little terraforming bits where you have to hop on the piece and then it says, hey, you can terraform here, which lets you change the columns of the puzzle in order to change up, like, the layout so that you actually are able to complete it, because there might be a point where you're not able to complete it. And at that point, you use the crank, but it's really imprecise. It can be kind of hard to tell what direction you're going in, what the puzzle is going to look like, and you're not allowed to undo your moves. So it just ends up being more frustrating than fun at the end of the day. Relatively simple puzzles that don't really have that much going for them, combined with needing to go back and get your chess pieces, the stuff you need to do to get to 100%. It's all just a pain in the goddamn neck. And I don't like it. I really don't. With that said, yeah, I'll just let you watch some more of it. Oh boy, it's Saturday edition. Man, I really wanted to like this one. It gives off a fantastic first impression. So the idea is that you're a guy who got abducted by aliens 15 years in the past. And then you lived with them for 3 years. And then their species had a sort of conflict about whether or not they wanted the human, so they put the human back on Earth. Now that's just an amazing setup right there. I actually kind of wish they did it better, because they just give it to you in like a text screen and, you know, show don't tell, right? But they could have easily like mixed it in to the beginning of the game to like add a little bit of extra mystery, but that's neither here nor there. That's a minor nitpick. I'm willing to let that one go. And the game looks really good. It's got some great art going for it. The animations are really nice, what little there are. The little animations they got going on with you, like interacting with all of the objects, such as the answering machine, the doors, all of those sorts of things, are really nice. And it just adds that little bit of extra flavor to the world. It feels like a depressing world, and I'm willing to bet that's because the character is a bit depressed as well. His initial dream is that he wants to get into heaven, but he's doing it via opening the gate for the guy, because the guy doesn't know how to change the password. So it just gives you an idea of a guy who's really bloody depressed about the fact that the aliens kind of rejected him. And that is just, it's such a good setup. It really is. And then a lot of the game is just kind of wandering back and forth, trying to figure out where to use these clues. And I got stuck twice in the first 2 days. As in, I'm just wandering around trying to use everything on everybody, and it's just not working out for me. And you have to do it in a very specific order as well, and the game doesn't have anything in the way of a hint system. So if you end up with everybody talked to, everybody has had every hint used on them, it just stops working. It just means that you have to just wander around for 10 minutes trying to figure out what you're meant to do. And I hate it when adventure games do that to me. I absolutely hate it. And as a result, I ended up dropping the game after Tuesday. Because I can't stand games that do that. Tons of clues to use, and tons of places to use them. None of them seem to work, and you've got no way to figure out where the bloody hell you're meant to go, or any sort of like little environmental hint you might have missed, or something along those lines. And it's a shame, because the game had me hooked. The dialogue is a bit iffy, although it might be waiting for the later days in order to really start pushing it along a bit. But yeah, this one was just depressing for me, honestly. I'll let you watch a full day. I'll warn you right now, though, that this one is arguably the longest clip of the video. But yeah, like, just add a hint system. Just give me an idea of where I'm meant to go and what I'm meant to do. Now, you do get, like, scrunched up notes telling you that something has been used to its full usage, but that doesn't help you out if you've still got 2 items you're meant to use. You've used them on everybody and no one seems to have any idea what you're meant to do with them. So, yeah. I kind of hate it when adventure games do this and they just rely on you just wandering around trying to figure it out, despite the fact that you swear you've done everything already. And I went on the Discord for the Playdate to, like, see if anyone else had this problem, and people were getting stuck on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So it's like, oh god, if I'm getting stuck on Tuesday, I have no chance of finishing the game off at this point. So, yeah. It would be the best game of the week if I didn't get stuck. Even the fortnight, I should say. But, yeah. Developers, if you're watching this, add a hint system. Seriously. And your game would be fantastic, but just can't bring myself to wander around for another half hour trying to figure out what the bloody hell I'm meant to do 3 more times. I'll let you watch more. And our final game of the fortnight is Star Sled. And, well, I didn't like the using the crank to determine your angle sort of thing, and your ship is all drifty, so it's kind of a pain in the ass thing from Hypermedia last fortnight. And I don't like it here either. The gameplay is a bit different. Mainly that it's one of those sort of things where you need to lasso these objects in order to actually catch them, but if you lasso the wrong thing, you die, and you've got to be really precise about it and whatnot. And I didn't like this one either, if I'm being honest with you. It's more precise. The collision masks aren't as much of a problem in this game as they are in Hypermedia, but it can still be kind of unfair. The controls are a little bit annoying, mainly because it doesn't seem to have a left-handed alternative, so I can't use the D-pad instead of the face buttons, and I'm left-handed, so that can be kind of a problem. The game itself is just not that engaging, even up to like the C's and the D's, where you find yourself against more obstacles and it ends up becoming a little bit more intense. It just ends up being a bit more of a pain in the neck, because you end up having to, like, weave between all these different objects, and with how imprecise the crank... Well, the crank itself is perfectly precise. It's just, with everything moving around, it can be hard to be precise on top of that, and it just makes the game less fun to play for me, and you're also on a time limit, so the entire point of the game, or at least the mastery of it, is trying to do everything as fast as humanly possible, and again, with this sort of crank-based movement, it just doesn't sit with me right, so I don't like it. And yeah, it just doesn't work for me as a concept. There are, like, bonus levels, and there is a little bit of content to be played. There's several sectors, each with multiple levels going on and all that, but yeah, just did not jive with this one, and that's a real shame. I won't do an outro this time, because I don't think it's entirely necessary, so the end of this gameplay will be the end of this video. With that said, this has been Blue Maxima. I'll see you all next fortnight.
Whip out light.